Let's go. Welcome back. Saturday night. Hope you're having a lovely Saturday night. I'm gonna pull up a chessboard, play some 5-minute blitz. So let's go. That was impeccable timing on the intro, and let's go. We are back to chess 960. This is starting position 935. 935. When I can, I always like to improve the scope of the bishop and the queen with the first move, and then continue to improve the scope of the bishops and the queen. I like to develop knights behind pawns to not impede them from going forward. I like to make a solid pawn structure, just like in standard chess. Think about king safety. Get that king castled. If this were standard chess, my king would start on this square and castle either to here or to here. Same here. Same rules apply in chess 960. Always look for loose pawns. There weren't any loose pawns in the opening position. Yeah, let's get the knight here. So down about 45 seconds of the Saturday night. When it's having to think, take your time, opponent. Take your time. Knight comes in. What is this knight thinking? Where is this knight going? Although the knight has lots of options. And this looks like a focal point. Can we do something odd like this? Maybe it's not so odd. So if this bishop weren't on the back row, if the queen weren't on the back row, if the knight weren't on the back row, and I had not previously moved the knight or the king or the rooks, and I castled, if I pick up this king, dropped it on this rook, the rook would come all the way here and the king would come all the way here. Are we going to prepare for this final showdown here on e4? One is defending it with 4 pieces. I think that's what's going to happen. But before I play here, this e4, maybe bring the rook over real quick. But as soon as this pawn goes somewhere, this pawn is undefended. I could think about that too. Spend a few moves, bring the bishop here, rook here, then finally play the c4. Like a plan. One could bring the knight here immediately though, but then the bishop comes back. Yeah, let's go. So I still can't castle this way because the king's landing square is free, but this rook would have to land here. Sticking to plans? Do I just do this idea? Is this the way to go? I think it is. Here, then here. This knight is definitely, and this rook, knight and the rook are bad pieces, but maybe the rook has some potential. Pushing this a pawn. And again, the king could suddenly castle all the way to the side of the board. My opponent can on the very next move. The king would end up here. The rook, this rook would end up here. Okay, let's check this out. Pawn takes, knight takes. No, I just got it too many times. I have to bring the rook over, as discussed. Now let's take a look. If my opponent does a move that does not affect the situation over here, like say this or this or this or castles even. Okay, there's that long castle. King just flies away to safety. So I know where my opponent is. How I attack. How do I attack? And I have so little time. Way too much yapping. Can I finally go for this? I'm just going to go for it. I talked about it enough. Let's just go for it. Queen moving here. Pawn takes, knight takes. That still doesn't work. My opponent is defending at 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. I'm only attacking with 1, 2, 3. So I have to hopefully find some intermezzo, some Zwischenzug, some in-between move. Usually where you find them when there's a number of captures, or at least a capture. You don't capture back at some point, you look for the in-between move. But I will take here this way. Pawn takes, I don't want to, unless the in-between move, let's take this off the board. Unless, okay, pawn takes here. This was the first move that came to mind, but is it really doing anything? Well, it does kind of x-ray the queen. Rook is x-raying the queen. Well, there's this. And no, if bishop takes, queen takes. So what's this? Well, this is scary. Can't allow this. But look at this. If I take here, check here. I'm hitting the queen though. As soon as I move the king, take, I take. But what if queen takes first? Then I can move my queen. Let's go. Let's just go for this. I'm just going to come in with the check. I'm going to move the king over, hitting the knight. Why can't I? Oh, okay. And if you take here, I take here. And the knight, where's the knight going? Where is the knight going? I'm going to take with the rook. Down on time, but this knight's coming in. And look at the battle. I played this guy. I've won 7. I've lost 5 to this guy. 12 games we played. And it's been pretty back and forth. Mostly back and forth. Knight wants to get active. Definitely my worst piece. Oh, this rook is pretty terrible too. 47 seconds. It's just going to be easier for white to play this. So if I pick up the king, drop it on the rook, the king stays where it is, and the rook comes here. I'm not going to do that. Oh, did I move my king at some point? I must have moved my king. So yeah, I just attack. 37 seconds. I'm about to hit the red zone. My opponent has 55 seconds. Take your time. Take your time, opponent. But this is the move I think I'm going to play. Opponent just resigns. Wow. I would have fought. Who? Like, it's mostly even. What's the computer say? I resign there. Okay, I'm crushing, but still. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you next time. Cheers.